Hello, welcome to the Unicorn Podcast, where you can learn everything about Unicorn Tribe Toastmasters Club, a high-quality, high-functioning Toastmaster club from Richmond, BC, Canada, with members joining from all over the world. This is Sandy Chen, and I'm from the Unicorn Tribe Toastmaster Club. For those who are not familiar, Toastmasters is a non-profit, educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs, and the Unicorn Tribe is one of them. Have you ever thought about improving your public speaking skills, leadership skills, networking skills, and more? Then you will definitely benefit from Toastmasters, and Unicorn Tribe Toastmaster is your best place to start. Today, it is an honor to welcome one of the founders of Unicorn Tribe Toastmasters Club, the immediate past president, distinguished Toastmasters, Tom Jones, to speak on our second podcast. Tom has been a Toastmaster for 16 years. He is currently a member of 2 Toastmaster clubs. Today, we will talk about his experience starting a Toastmaster club and his personal growth as a Toastmasters. Are you ready? Let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster Tom Jones.
Sandy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Tom, for joining our podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So since you have been in Toastmasters for over 16 years, what made you join the Toastmaster Club and what keeps you to stay for a long period of time?
Why did I initially join Toastmasters? That's a great question. I was introduced to Toastmasters probably 20 plus years ago by a client who I met him in his office. He had all kinds of Toastmasters certificates and plaques. And I said, what is that? And he told me, oh, Toastmasters is this great program. You really should become a part of it. And I said, okay. I put it on my to-do list, but not with any real intention of joining because I didn't think I needed it at that time. A couple years later, I had a client. I'm a management consultant, and I work with small businesses. And I had a client, and this particular client was struggling with communicating. And I remembered, I said, you could benefit from Toastmasters. Now, I had never been to a meeting, but I introduced this gentleman to Toastmasters. But he was a real smart guy. He said, well, I will go if you go with me. And there I was on the spot, but I never hesitated. I said, of course, I'll meet you there. And that's how I attended my first meeting. And I walked in, and it was like everything I'd ever hoped for. And, I walked in curious, but they were communicating and at a level that I had not seen before. I've always been a good talker, but not necessarily a good communicator. And when I walked in, the people was open and friendly. My moment of truth was very positive, and I stayed. And I continue to stay because it works. When you find something that works for you, you don't stop it. It's like going to the gym. It changed my life. I'd already been fairly successful, but it changed me in another way. I was transformed, and I say because of that, because I now have an opportunity to give back to an organization that did so much for me. So that's hopefully the answer you're looking for there.
That's really inspiring because staying for 16 years, that's really long. Next is the question that our audience may be interested in who are not familiar with Toastmasters. Could you please explain briefly what happens during a Toastmasters meeting?
Very good question. A Toastmasters meeting, everything revolves around a club meeting that meets every week or every 2 weeks, or in our case, every week, for an hour to 2 hours. And there are functionary roles. And every week, there are no teachers per se. Everyone has an opportunity to practice a role. There's a speaker, there's an evaluator, there's a timer. And it's all about teaching you how to manage a meeting. But in the process of learning how to manage that meeting, you're practicing leadership and communication skills. And week by week by week, as you begin to speak with table topics and all the various other functionary roles, you find yourself with more confidence. You find yourself speaking with fewer ahs and ahs, and you become a better communicator. And that's the meeting evolves every week, this simple process, but week after week after week, you begin to see your growth. I started to change after my very first meeting, and others have shared with me the same thing. You begin to notice the ums and ahs that people talk with in public, at work, or at school, or wherever you go. You begin to listen to the communications of others, and you improve as a result of that. The evaluations are the key. A speaker, an evaluation, everything in Toastmasters, you get feedback, and that feedback gives you an opportunity to grow. No one is criticizing you. It's an environment that is safe for you to practice the art and the skill of communication and leadership.
I actually agree with you. And then because most of the people, when I told people what is Toastmaster, and then they always have the question saying that, oh, did someone in Toastmaster teach you in the club? But actually everyone in the club is the leader to show you how to manage the meeting and how the Toastmaster work. So that's a great definition for the Toastmaster meeting.
There's a mentoring process. When you join Toastmasters, when you join a club, you are assigned a mentor. So you have a mentor specifically for you. But for example, in Unicorn Tribe, you not only have a mentor assigned to you, but our club has the premise of we are bound together with the circle of mentorship, meaning everyone will mentor you. Everyone will help you. We vow that we'll leave no one behind. So, as a matter of fact, we ensure that all of our members benefit from our manifesto, because that's what we do. We assist everyone to grow. No one is left behind.
Yeah, that's right. Have you ever met a mentor from Toastmaster that's changed your life? If yes, could you share your story?
Very good question. My very first mentor, I joined the Telecom Toastmasters Club, that club that I went to. I was scared to death when I walked into that room, but everyone made me feel so comfortable. But there was a lady who did a table topics, and in her table topics, she sang a song and spoke so eloquently. And I was like, wow, I want to be like that, because I'm an introvert and I would never do that. And so when I joined the club, this lady became my mentor. From the very beginning, she told me, plan to become a distinguished Toastmaster, jump in the middle of Toastmasters, participate every week, sign up for speeches. She guided me through my planning, and it inspired me so much that I remember in those days, it was a competent communicator. When I completed my 10 speeches and I received that certificate, it was one of the proudest moments of my life. I was being nurtured and guided through this program by this mentor. And so today, when I am assigned a mentor, I do the very same thing. Let's create a plan, let's follow the plan, and let's get in the middle of the program. Don't hang around the edges, get into the middle, because the more you participate, the more you grow. My mentor said, never, ever pass on the opportunity to speak, Tom, in a meeting. Never say no to the opportunity to serve your club. And I believe that. So I never said no. And as a result of that, I was completely engaged. And that's what a mentor does. They They guide you through the process. And it changed my life. And I pass that on to others because it changed my life.
Yeah, I recall back to the first meeting when you told me that never give the chance to other people to speak. So
Oh, no,
I need to speak.
yeah, always, if asked to speak, always speak.
Yeah.
Don't turn down the opportunity to speak, right? If they ask you, Tom, would you like to be table topic? Would you like to speak the table topic? Yes, of course. Even though I was totally frightened, I did it. And I never ever turned it down. And that's that's what I encourage among my proteges and just Toastmasters in general.
Yeah, and I remember I like you also recommend me to do speeches every 2 weeks, and then I actually did that in the beginning. And actually that worked. That actually made me improve really, really fast. Yeah.
Look at you now. You're doing a podcast. Unbelievable, right?
Yes. Thank you, Tom. Tom, could you tell us what is the most valuable lesson you have learned from Toastmasters?
There are so many. That question, what is the most valuable? There's so many lessons that I've learned in Toastmasters and that I'm continuing to learn. One is the importance of listening, being an active listening. Communication is a two-way process. So sometimes it's multi-level in terms of the senders and the receivers, the people who are listening. But you have to listen. Listening is one of the keys. The other one is to be succinct, to not be afraid to share what you feel and what you think. Share from your heart. Uh, do not worry about how you look. Share your story, share your presentation. Look at people when you talk to them. Look at people when you listen to them. There are many skills you can learn, but I think the most important transition or transformation happens on the inside. You can learn the skills, but once you gain the confidence, an inside job becoming a better communicator. That's my belief. And that happens in a meeting. And often the individual does not realize how much they have grown, but they start to see how other people are growing. But you can only observe the growth in others because you are growing. So mentors encourage each other, encourage their proteges, because we can see your growth from week to week. And it helps to build self-confidence. The other thing that has been a valuable skill, while Toastmasters has helped me to become better at speaking externally to people, it has also changed my internal dialogue, which has become a whole lot more positive. And I no longer have that negative voice beating me up after I speak, oh, you did a terrible job, or why did you say that? That has gone away. And that is a real positive thing from Toastmasters. Just learning how to be more positive and how to speak with presence of mind, to be present when you're speaking, to hear what you're saying when you're saying it so that you can correct it if need be. Those are some of the lessons I've learned in Toastmasters.
Yeah, definitely. The learning skill is really important in our club, in the Toastmaster, especially when being a evaluator. Like I remember I refused to be a evaluator in the beginning because I have really bad listening skills. But right now I'm getting more and more like forcing myself, enable for me to be more focused in a meeting and to listen to other people's speeches and their skills in the meeting and enable myself to evaluate others. So I strongly agree with that. So for example, your current job title is management consultant specializing in small business. I'm wondering how does this Toastmaster influence to your work, your life, and other things?
Well, communication is the beginning and the end in relationship. Communication is critical. So when you grow your communication skills, it changes your personal and professional life. I don't think there's really a distinction because there's one person who now grows, but now able to advocate for themselves personally and professionally. So I think that it influences all parts of my life. It's all about relationship building. As a consultant, I'm speaking with people all day, every day. They're asking me questions and I'm providing answers. No one wants to work with you if you lack confidence because people can feel that lack of confidence. And so Toastmasters gives you a really strong chance of simply being confident. You may not actually be chosen to do the job, but you are a confident presenter when you present your product or your service to individuals. Some may like you, some may not, but you always know that you're giving your best. And so it has helped me as a consultant, but it's also helped me have 3 children. Communicating with my children, they had the opportunity of attending actually Toastmasters meeting with me. So I became a kind of father in the sense of I started getting more constructive feedback. I would always have the positive. I used the sandwich technique, and it helped me in those relationships with my children. So it has helped me personally. It also helps me with my significant other. It helps me with everything because communication is the beginning and the end in relationships.
I do agree with that. And one question has just came to my mind that you have mentioned in the beginning that you are an introvert. With your experience, do you think Toastmasters help you to speak out more?
Well, I remain an introvert. I'm still an introvert. That's my
Yeah.
personality. My energy comes when I'm by myself. I don't necessarily gain it. It doesn't necessarily grow in a huge crowd. But I've learned to survive in a world filled with extroverts. I can advocate for myself. I can speak to. Doesn't matter the size of the room. I'm able to speak to them because I know that I can. And Toastmasters teaches you that you can. You can do it. Are you going to be nervous? Of course. That's normal, but you know that you can do it. But it doesn't change me from being an introvert. I say it all the time. I'm an introvert. Sometimes people don't believe that, but the people who really know me know that Tom is an introvert. Matter of fact, a lot of members of Toastmasters are introverts, but you would never know it because they've learned the skill and the art of communicating with other people. It still doesn't change you from being what you are.
Yeah, that's right. And as one of the founders, what are the things you are the most proud of?
First of all, I'm extremely proud of Unicorn Tribe Toastmasters. Yes, I am one of the founders, but I am one of a few others. There was me, Margaret Page, Dorothy Miller, Doreen Chen Ying, Yunakajima, and later Jenny came on board, Jenny Chen. So it wasn't just me by myself, but what I'm proud of is several years ago, Margaret Page and I, we were talking about why don't we start a club? We wouldn't talk again for a couple months. Well, why don't we start a club? We both had a vision for starting a club. And I think Dorothy Miller also had a vision, but I had not met Dorothy at the time. And so we wanted I started a lot of clubs. I've worked in the district and I've started a lot of clubs. But this club was uniquely different in the sense of we wanted something very, very special. We wanted a club and we wanted to hardwire in the entire Toastmasters program from the beginning. We had a vision of this diverse club that was that would enhance the member experience. We had this vision long before we first had that meeting, and we met every week, every 2 weeks. We're planning. We planned everything. Today, to sit in the room of of Unicorn Tribe Toastmasters Club and see that as a management consultant, I see it often. You create a vision, you create a plan, you implement the plan, and there you have your dream. But there's work involved, plan, do. And so when I sit in the meeting and I see members or guests walk in, join the club like you and some of the others, and then see you a year later, 2 years later, that makes my heart, it touches me because I see the transformation in the lives of others. That's why I stay in Toastmasters, because if you want to keep the skill, the communication skill, you keep it by giving it away, by sharing it with others. And so UTTC became this high quality club that focuses on the members' experience. And of course, we've been distinguished, President's Distinguished 2 years in a row, but that was a byproduct of our members growing personally and professionally. That just happened. We planned it. We followed the book, the Club Success Plan, Moments of Truth. We read the leadership manual. We followed, the secret to starting a great Toastmasters club is to follow the book. Implement the Toastmasters program fully, and you'll have a successful club. The planners and the founders need to be on the same page, have that commitment to creating excellence. And that's the thing. Every member of our club who's experienced this can take these skills that we have learned and go out into the workplace, to their church, their synagogues, their mosques, into their community, and implement and change. Because this is how it is done. And that Toastmasters is where leaders are made. And leaders and communication, in my mind, are synonymous.
And I'm wondering, how long does it take for you and other founder members to finally establish this club?
Well, we had lofty goals. We had a plan. We were going to, I think we started in April of 2019.
Oh, wow.
And with the planning. And we were going to start the club in September of 2019, and that was going to be it. We had our first meeting, September the 11th, 2019, and we invited guests and the Oval. But it did not happen the way we planned it. The beauty of vision and planning is you create the plan, but often it may not turn out the way you want it. And so now it is the adjustments you make. So we had to make adjustments. We had this great location at the Oval, but we were not getting our enough guests to come in. So we continued to work at it, and you came and joined the club, and LV and some of the others came and joined the club, and we kept working at it. And eventually, then it was 2020. It was a pandemic, but we had already laid the groundwork. We started, when we were forced to go online, we simply made the transition smoothly and went online, and our club continued to thrive and to flourish. Even though a lot of clubs were struggling, we continued on because we had a plan in place. And so it didn't happen as fast as we thought it was, but that was actually a blessing in disguise, because that gave us an opportunity to lay a stronger foundation. Because you have to have a foundation if you're going to build a structure that's going to last. So eventually we chartered in June of 2020. But when we chartered, we had enough education awards. We immediately submitted them, and we were President's Distinguished our first year. And we had only been chartered 2 weeks, and we were President's Distinguished. So we laid a groundwork in the foundation, and then year 2, we simply did the same thing, but only better because of that foundation. So sometimes the plan does not go according to the plan, but you make the adjustments and you move up, because you can't control the external environment. There's certain things you cannot control, but you simply have to make the adjustment. So we made those adjustments. We were out handing out flyers. We were doing everything. And eventually, guests came and they became members.
Yeah, that's a really, really big plan. I'm always wondering if you are going to advise a future or current member who are going to establish a club in the future. What have you learned, and what advice will you give for the future or current member if they are going to plan to have established a club?
Well, the good news is everything we did we archived the plan. Everything is in Dropbox, every step of the way. We had meetings, we had agendas, we had we have everything in writing. So you can access those documents and follow it. But Toastmasters has numerous documents on how to start a club. The key, though, is more than just those documents. It's about the relationship and the vision and all the members on the team being on the same page. Checking your ego at the door. We had a vision and a purpose to build a club that would transfer the lives of the new members, of the members. That's what we wanted to do. It wasn't about Tom Jones getting credit or Margaret Page or Dorothy Miller. It wasn't about all of that. It was about us. We were on the same page about wanting to start this high functioning, high quality club. And that's the key. You've got to be on this, follow the plan. The information is there for you. We spent weeks and weeks and weeks looking for the right meeting place. We wanted a high profile meeting place. We didn't want our members to join for 6 months. We wanted them to join for 1 year, make the commitment for 12 months. And all of that has made a difference. And so our members, our club officers, I'm sure that when they go to club officers training, they sit in those training and they're very proud because most of the things that they are teaching in the club officers training, our club is already doing that because we're following the manual.
Yeah, that is right. That's right. And while you're establishing the club, what is the biggest challenge for you? As last week, Doreen mentioned about the biggest challenge was to find the location for our club. What about you? What do you think the biggest challenge?
Well, finding a location was a challenge, but once we agreed what we didn't want, it was easy to figure out what we did want. You know, we didn't want there's nothing wrong with the basement of a church. There's nothing wrong with that, but we didn't want that. We wanted a bright space, a large space. We wanted it to be in a location that would attract members, a high profile. You don't get any high profile than the Richmond Oval, although I wish we had a better location there. The biggest challenge for me was practicing making the adjustments as we went along. When it didn't happen as fast as we wanted it to. So we went out on Saturdays and Sunday, me, Doreen, Yunakajima, we were handing out flyers at coffee shops. That's how we found Alexa. She found us at a coffee shop. She saw a flyer at a coffee shop. We created flyers. We were passing them out. We were doing everything. And that became not a challenge. It became actually an opportunity because we got a chance to know the surrounding area of Richmond because that's was our target market at the time, the Richmond area. And then the great thing, the pandemic happened, which caused us to have to go online. And all of a sudden, the local community, we became global. And that was one of the best things that happened as a result of the pandemic. It forced us to look outside. So our community became larger. We now have members from Japan, Hong Kong, from California, from Florida. We have members from everywhere. And so the challenge was finding those members or finding people and one of the challenges we also had was most of our club, we have more, we don't have as many men in the club. That was always a challenge. We always had more females in the club, more ladies wanted to join the club. And that's still, we now have, I think, 5 or 6, but that number is still low. And I'm not sure exactly how to change that dynamic, but it is what it is. But the club is successful and it actually worked exactly the way it was supposed to. We had this great plan, this great design, but it evolved the way it was supposed to. And the results, you see it, I see it, because I'm looking at you. doing a podcast. And when you walked in the Toastmasters meeting for the first time, you were very, very quiet and shy. And look at you now, you're doing a podcast.
That's actually a big change for me, like growing in Toastmaster with other members as well. We are almost at the end, and now I would like to ask, like, what would you like to tell our audience who has never joined any Toastmasters club? What would be your suggestion or advice, and how would you introduce people what exactly the Toastmaster is, and what do you think the Toastmaster bring the most to you?
Complex question with many different parts. But first of all, if you want to be anything, a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, whatever you want to do, communication is going to be required. We live in a very competitive world today.
Mm.
The better your communication is, the better your opportunity to move, to get in the door, to get the job, and then to move up that ladder. And if you are up to that challenge, you have nothing to lose by trying, by joining a club, following the process, follow it for 6 months, follow it with our club, follow it for a year, come in and try it. You have nothing to lose. Talk to our members, we have a great part of our meeting called Member Moment. Every week, a member speaks about how Toastmasters has changed their lives in the last week. If you come and talk to our members, our younger members, our very diverse club, you will see how their lives have changed. Every skill you learn in a Toastmasters club is transferable to the outside world. Everything you learn in that club, the leadership skills, how to manage a meeting, how to think on your feet through table topics, how to time a meeting, how to use correct and proper grammar, all of these things make you more valuable as an employee, as an employer, as an entrepreneur. All of these aspects helps to make you into a more confident individual that you, and those skills you can use in every part of your life. Come in, try it, and join a club. You know, every club has a different personality, a different culture. And so you can always find a club that works for you. But we definitely invite you to Unicorn Tribe Toastmasters Club if you're looking to be nurtured and to be in an environment that is absolutely with your peers, people just like you, who are just trying to get better, because we are committed to helping everyone who walks in that door to be better, because we've all been there before. Walked in nervous, and we were embraced. Unicorn Tribe Toastmasters Club, even the name, took us a long time to figure out that name, because we wanted to create something that had a sense of family, not just say it's family, but that it is family. And that's what we do. If you walk into a meeting of Unicorn, everybody's greeting you, talking to you, they're friendly, they're not clicked off in the corner. We are talking to everybody, and we are committed to helping our guests to become better communicators.
Yeah, that's very well said to our audience. And I'm also wondering, like, Tom, since you are just retired from our president, from our executive team, so what is your next step at Toastmaster Club?
Well, officially, I still have the title of immediate past president. And so I am always available to help the current executive in any aspect. I'm already talking to several people about starting another club, helping to start another club. And if they are committed as the group for Unicorn Tribe, I will probably help to start another club. I am always available to do anything to benefit an organization that has helped me as much as this particular organization has. So I'm always available. If sometimes I have opportunities to do things for the district. We now have a mentoring for club presidents. I've agreed to do that. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to help to. A quick story. As a young man, I knew nothing of Toastmasters. I never heard of it until I was much older. One of my commitments is to help to pass this message about the Toastmasters program to young people around the world. That's something that I am deeply committed to. making sure that people know that there is an organization that will help you to become a better communicator. So I'm a forever ambassador for the organization.
Yes, we need more members in our club. Please,
Believe
please be a good ambassador and keep attracting more members to our club.
for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I think those are the really good interview and question and answer from you. And thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Today, it was our pleasure to interview Tom Jones at our Unicorn podcast. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Tom Jones. We started this podcast by addressing why he joined Toastmaster in the first place and how Toastmaster changed his life. One of the key takeaways for me was his advice to never miss any opportunity to speak out and to take roles at the club meeting. By stepping away just a little bit from our comfort zone, we can all improve rapidly. I was also inspired when Tom said listening skills are the most important and the most valuable skills he acquired by being part of Toastmasters. If you think you are struggling to get your voice heard at work or in your life in general, if you feel you could use more self-confidence whenever you speak in front of a group of people, if you are looking for a place to grow your leadership skills, then joining a Toastmaster club is the most effective and affordable solution for you. The more you practice, the more confidence you will get. I like what Tom said, the skill doesn't change what you are. As you heard from the interview today, there is no teacher at the Toastmaster Club. Instead, we all learn from each other and everyone can take different roles and lead the club. When you join a club, you are also assigned a mentor who will guide you through. Were you inspired by Tom's story today? Are you ready to become the next leader or a great public speaker? The Unicorn Tribe Toastmaster Club welcomes everyone to visit and join our club. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Meetup, or LinkedIn to contact us for more details. Next month, our guest is also one of our club founders and our past VP of membership, Yu Nakajima. See you next time.